So this video is going to discuss indirect statements in Latin. So a direct statement is just a statement of fact. Caesar loves Cleopatra, Marcus is annoying. All these, you're just stating the obvious. An indirect statement is reported speech, almost like gossip. I hear that Caesar likes Cleopatra. She says that Marcus is annoying. Marcus is annoying is the idea, and as opposed to just directly saying Marcus is annoying, we report it as gossip through that second person. She says that he's annoying. I think that Augustus is loved by everyone. So when we're thinking about how to put this into Latin, we know how to write I hear, right? That's audio. Now, the next question I have is, what do we hear? What's the noun that we hear? What's the object? And we hear about Caesar, right? Now, if we want to say I hear Caesar, I'm just going to say audio Caesarum. You're just going to put it in the accusative because Caesar's the direct object. It's what we're hearing about. Okay? Same thing. She says that Marcus is annoying on this sentence. So what is she saying? What is she talking about? She's talking about Marcus. And so he's going to be your object, hence dicit Marcum. Okay? I think that Augustus is loved by everyone. What's the one noun that I'm thinking about? Augustus. And we're going to put him in the accusative as well. Puto Augustum. Very straightforward so far. So the tricky part of the indirect statement is that in Latin, the Romans used an infinitive to explain what the subject of the indirect statement was doing. So I hear Caesar to love Cleopatra. I hear Caesar is still audio Caesarum to love Cleopatra. She says Marcus to be annoying. Dicit Marcum, and to be is just going to be that infinitive esse vexatum. Notice vexatum, it's accusative because it describes Marcus, who's also accusative. I think Augustus, puto Augustum, still our direct object, to be loved by everyone, amari ab omnibus. A quick reminder on how to form the infinitives. Remember, the active infinitive, so to love, to see, to lead, to hear, is just that second principal part. On the other hand, the passive infinitive you get for at least the first, second, and fourth conjugations by changing this E to an I. You can notice videre, videri, audire, audiri, ducere. So third conjugation verbs are a little tricky. You change the ERE to an I. Okay, so these phrases are really awkward. When we say, I hear Caesar to love Cleopatra, that doesn't sound so good. In English, we just say, I hear that, the direct object verb. So I hear that Caesar loves Cleopatra. She says that Marcus is annoying. I think that Augustus is loved by everyone. These to be phrases don't work as well. So, if you want to put a little recipe together for how to form an indirect statement, the first ingredient we have is what I call a head and shoulders verb. A verb that takes place above the shoulders. So these are verbs of thinking, seeing, hearing, knowing, hoping, and all of them are happening up here. Believing. Some Latin examples would be these 6 down here. So you can imagine, I believe that, I see that, I hear that, I think that, I know that, I don't know that. All right, ingredient number 2 for our indirect statement recipe. You're just going to add a direct object, i.e. an accusative, of that main verb. This accusative is going to be the subject of your indirect statement. And this is always the first accusative you encounter. So here, I hear Caesar. Caesar is going to be our accusative direct object of audio, but it's also going to be the subject of the indirect statement that follows. Now, occasionally, the subject of the main verb, knows here, and the subject of the indirect statement are going to be the same person. So you're going to use that word say, which is that reflexive pronoun, which always replaces the subject. Last step in our recipe, you're just going to add an infinitive to be the verb of the indirect statement. I hear Caesar to live in Rome. I hear that Caesar lives in Rome. She knows that she loves the Latin language. Who doesn't? Okay, so quick recap. Indirect statements. Step 1, head and shoulders verb of the main clause. Step 2, add an accusative as your subject of that indirect statement. Step 3, add your infinitive to be the verb of the indirect statement. Translation of indirect statements, you're always going to have in that main clause the subject thinks, believes, hears, knows, etc. And then in the indirect statement, you're always going to use that word that, and it's going to be that, the accusative, verbs. So here are some practice ones. Why don't you see if you can translate these on your own? Pause the video, and as you'll see, the answers will pop up. Okay, so hopefully these make sense. If you have any questions on them, feel free to ask me tomorrow or send an email question to me. And that is going to do it for our video today. So this is the end of the indirect statement, or is it?